panelists here. We have our Women in Digital panel. We have Alise Flores, Consumer Strategy Lead at McDonald's. Samantha, Hart, Head of Creative at Ace Hardware. Nossem, Senior Manager, Performance Marketing at Ulta. Chelsea McDonald. Chelsea McDonald, Senior Global Social Media Strategist at Groupon, and we're going to be monitored by Stacy Bohrer, SVP of Sales at Chris. So, ladies,
thank you. Yeah, if anybody needs a microphone in your head, otherwise speak up.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. So, we, the five of us, had such a good kickoff call, in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but we got on the call. Typically, there's individual calls, but instead we all got on the call. And the questions you'll hear are a reflection of the themes that surfaced. And it was really fun and such an honor to meet you guys. I hope we do get to go to dinner soon. So let's start with a round of introductions. So what you're doing, who you are, and how you got involved with Brand Innovators. Want to start?
Yeah. So I lead the social strategy at Groupon. I'm also responsible for our influencer program and am the team lead for all of our cross-functional teams. In my past life, I worked for a digital agency on clients like Hyatt Hotels, Amway Global, Hallmark, Hulu, and beauty brands, which is something that the Ulta people probably recognize. And I also earned my master's in digital content strategy from the University of Kansas. And I got involved in Brand Innovators about 6 months ago at a summit very much like this one.
Awesome. I'm Samantha Hart. I am the head of creative at Ace Hardware. I have built their in-house team from scratch most recently. Previously, in past life, I have held various creative leadership positions at Kohl's, Target, and most recently Michael's. And I just got involved with Brand Innovators, so I'm a newbie.
Hi, I'm Kelly Nossem. I'm Senior Manager of Digital Marketing with Ulta Beauty. So what does that mean exactly? I oversee our search, email, affiliate, and mobile channels. Previously, I was with an agency for roughly 12 years. So my agency background in digital marketing, all things programmatic, social, and have been with Ulta Beauty for about a year and a half now. I'm brand new to Brand Innovators, so thank you, Joe, for bringing me in. I'm happy to be here.
Hi everybody, Alise Flores. I'm with McDonald's. I'm helping to lead up a new function and practice area of customer strategy. And it's really championing the personalization effort at our organization. So G, you just said, it's that X factor role that a lot of brands are talking about these days, and it's been a very exciting place to play. My background is in paid media. Similar to you, I've had nearly 8 to 10 years of agency experience servicing many global brands, primarily CPG, and then moved to retail, obviously at McDonald's QSR retail category. Had been with them for about 4 years. I can't remember if I just said that, but it's gone by in a flash, and I'm so excited for what is yet to come as I continue to grow there. And I got involved with Brand Innovators through a very random email from Maddie on your team, and I just happened to respond. This year has been a year of learning for me, so I've been really hand-raising for opportunities like this to network and learn from people that are speaking and just kind of connect with others. So that's a bit about me.
Nice. And when I asked everyone why do you raise your hand to be a part of this with Brand Innovators, everyone said they wanted to get to know other people and network. So I figured our goal today is to build empathy for the four of you, understand you, and build your network, and all of ours. So first question, can women have it all? Sorry, by the way, I added a couple questions. Anyone can go for that. Is that possible?
I'll go, hell yeah, you can. I will definitely say yes, you can. Is it going to be easy? Most definitely not. Right? We're working currently in an environment that expects women to work like they don't have kids and parent like they don't have to work, and it's so difficult because you're constantly being pulled in so many directions. But ultimately, you need to prioritize. You need to define your life and what it looks like, even beyond your family and your role as a parent, caretaker, what have you. So it really is taking ownership of those things and being willing to blaze your own trail.
I have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I love that attitude about it, and I think I feel that way too, but when you actually think about what the word all means and then that might represent something to different people, like all. That's very omnipresent, and I think physically you can't be everywhere at once, mentally or physically. And so I think it's about like when and where you prioritize your time and attention, and that takes a lot of deliberation and contemplation and organization. So I think it's a very loaded question. I think a lot of women definitely attempt to have it all, but all is really big, and I think that we all deserve a little grace too of like, maybe not. Maybe just be okay of sometimes or half, depending on the context and circumstance.
I feel like I needed to hear that. Anyone else? Ditto. Okay, sounds good. One of the things that came out up on the call also was personalization. I think this is the only other one I added. How has personalization played a role in your current job, if at all? I know when I thought across all of the different organizations you work at, there were just certain themes that seem to trickle into all of our lives.
Yeah, I'll go. So personalization is almost still kind of at my current company a little bit. We're blazing the trail. And we're a co-op, so at ACE, we do things from a national level, but we have to really think from the local level. So we are individual store owners, right? So we have to get even more personalized. So we definitely champion and are looking for new ways and ideas, so if anybody has them, bring them to me, on how to get more personalized from the local level from every store. We have about 5,000 stores in our footprint, so we're trying.
I can speak to this one because if anyone's been paying attention today, with Ulta Beauty, the guest is at the center of everything we do. So in that, of course, personalization is going to be a huge priority, and it's something that we're working towards every single day in every aspect of the business. I think it's one of the things that gets me really excited because not only do I work for Ulta Beauty, I'm like a huge Ulta Beauty advocate. Like I feel like there's Sephora people and there's Ulta Beauty people. And before working here, I was an Ulta Beauty person. So it's just so wonderful to be working for a company that you just love to the core. And so I'm always thinking of like, all right, how can this be better? Selfishly for me, what would I want? But I know if I want it, other people out there want it too. So I love brand innovators and bringing all these people together because these are the people that make it happen. We come up with the ideas, but then I'm speaking to all of these folks of, do we have that data? Is it in a usable way that I can start targeting people? How can we make this experience better to acquire more guests into this so that we can give them personalized recommendations? Like, there's so many conversations that personalization is at the core, and like I said, it touches every single thing that we do.
And that's a huge focus for you, right? Personalization, but that requires silos. Correct me if I'm wrong, silos to be broken down in an organization, which feels like the biggest challenge facing personalization. How do you get through breaking down those silos?
You take it?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, yes, it definitely does because it requires a different way of working, a different process because it does impact so many different functions across marketing and well beyond marketing actually. I know that one of the reasons I was enlisted or kind of chosen for this particular role is I definitely have like a rattle cage challenger personality and shake things up and challenge the status quo. That is just part of what I engender in my personality and thought process. So you do need to kind of have that, but I also think that you have to be very attuned to collaboration and be very open to trying new things and being okay with striking out. So this function has been stood up not even a year, and I've been kind of rolling through this for the past 10 months. And it has been highly iterative. I think you just have to be okay with trying a new workflow, a new process, finding new advocates, finding new ways to influence, tailor stories to really drive home how important personalizing is, be it a creative ad, a product preference that shows up, and the like. I mean, the list goes on in the capabilities.
Awesome.
I work in social. You can't really personalize that much in social, I mean, except for paid, and I work predominantly in the organic space, so in general, personalization is a big struggle for Groupon. I mean, you guys probably know, being in Chicago, that it started as a startup, and a lot of our systems and everything are homegrown, so they're not super advanced, I guess you could say. So personalization is actually a really big struggle for us, both from that aspect and also when it comes to targeting, because We're a marketplace of thousands of merchants who provide local experiences, and we run into issues with product feeds serving experiences to people that live on the other side of the country from where that experience exists. So that's something we're really focused on.
Like, how can you, because it has to come, it feels like it has to come from the top down in order for it to be prioritized.
Yeah, so that's actually what we're really focused on right now, is we're calling it Fix the Fundamentals. And it's really just going back to the core of all of those systems and updating those and making them better, a better experience for the customer. So that's what we're working on right now.
That's awesome. Cool. Ready for my next question? Okay, great. All right, this is a good one. What is the biggest risk you've taken lately and has it paid off? Look at it. Oh, you have one? Anyone?
I had one prepared for this one.
Okay.
So a recent risk was I advocated for myself in a really big way this year. I had mentioned to you guys that my function's newer, right? So I don't really have a formalized say in a lot of conversations. But there was one process task force, special project task force that got stood up, or I heard rumblings of, and I was like, I absolutely need to be a part of this, but I didn't know a proper avenue. So I got a little risky and bold and started talking to a lot of my senior leaders, basically demonstrating and sharing why I believe I would be a great key stakeholder in that conversation to really round out the conversation. So I don't typically do that type of thing, but I really felt quite passionate and precious about this particular topic that did relate to personalization.
And it paid off.
It paid off because I'm a part of it, but we have a really long way to go. I think what I've heard a lot throughout my time today, and I came after lunch, but I'm sure this is part of the morning theme, is like all of these brands have a long way to go, so we're making incremental progress, and that's what keeps me going.
I could argue that social is a risk every single day. But probably the biggest risk for me was that we launched TikTok recently. When launching any channel, I always like to start with the why. I don't think that any brand should just get on a platform because it's popular, it's new, or it's the where all the users are going. It really needs to make sense for your brand, and it has to translate to that channel for it to make sense. Not to mention it's a content beast. The brands that are doing the best on TikTok right now are posting 4 times a day. And when you think about this content being, anywhere from 6 seconds to 3 minutes long, that's a lot of content. And we already had struggles internally in terms of, just scaling content for our other platforms. So it was a really big endeavor for us to take this on, but we really do have to prove the performance to our leadership before we can get more full buy-in. So I can't speak to the performance or the outcome just yet. It's still very new. We just launched in August, but we're really excited about it.
Good luck.
I'd say I take risks every single day. I'm a creative, so you have to throw it all out on the line like every single day, and you're definitely critiqued like a ton. And so oftentimes I'm responsible for changing people's minds. And when you try to change someone's mind, you have to think about the resistance. And I find when you think about the resistance, you're able to change the problem or solve the problem and think about the opportunity.
Well said.
On my side, I think it's more of a personal risk. So with Don Manna moving over to UB Media, I was kind of elevated to kind of fill his role. And in that, they took what I was overseeing, mostly in display and social, and they're like, we're going to combine that with marketing. So now you're going to be overseeing search and email. And I'm like, things that I don't know much about. So I'm like, who am I to come into this role and speak to things that I know nothing about? They took away my security blanket, the things that I've been working for on the past 12 years, and it was like, that's not as relevant anymore. So it really allowed me to kind of pivot how I valued myself and my value to the company and the teams, and really looking at those transferable skills that you have. So yeah, I might not know all about, breadcrumbs and schema and all that stuff, but I know how to build a team. I know how to build a team culture. I know how to establish process. I know data, and that's kind of the same across each of these things, and I can analyze and identify themes. So where can I lean in and provide value? I'm not going to come in and tell my team I'm the expert and I know everything about your channel, because I know I'm not. But that's why you surround yourself with highly capable teams, people that are smarter than you, and then figure out the things that you're really good at and provide value in those areas.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Speaking of skills, maybe this is just every algorithm feeding me articles about soft skills, but it is, I think, a fact that women executives excel at the soft skills, but we know that those are actually ROI-driven skills that take time to master and take vulnerability and take a lot of courage to deploy. What do you think your biggest superpower is that you bring to your job? And tell us a little bit about it. This isn't a fluff question. This should feel a little scary because I think being a woman in business can be scary sometimes.
Are you starting with me?
I'm sorry, with anyone who wants to take that.
I would say empathy. I'm a very empathetic person, and I know that in general, women tend to be more empathetic than men. We're more likely to build an environment where people want to be in the workplace and want to stay in the workplace. Ulta is led by women, right? So I think that's a great proof point to that as well. But just being understanding that we're all human and we all have lives outside of our jobs, even though that's where we spend the vast majority of our time, and just being understanding of that.
Yeah, I have a build on that piece of like, I just give a shit. I just really care about all of the things. I care about my team, and I want to know their pets' names, and I want to know where they live and what they're doing on the weekends, but I also want to know where do they want to go in their career, and where do they want a vacation, and what are their parents doing? Like, I just want to know all the things. I want to know how their relationship is with our partners internally.
And why?
Why do I want to know those things? Because it gives me information. Those are all things that I can feed into my brain and can help me adapt to what that person needs. So it allows me to flex my skills as a leader. Do I need to be more of like business cal and give this person some tough love from a business perspective of, here's how you should be managing your channel. This is where we need to improve. Or is it more of like, hey, I can see you're going through a really tough time. I know that your calendar's slammed with meetings. I know you have a deliverable on Friday. What can I do to support you in that? Can I take something off your plate? So it really gives me that ability to kind of flex based on what the team needs and cater my approach accordingly.
Very good.
Sure. I'd say I bring joy. Work, you're always at work, but you need joy in your everyday, in your life. And I instill in all teams that I've ever built that sense of joy and belonging. And it's important to have psychological safety at work. And I've found that having joy also helps that. So I'd say joy.
I love that so much. Like my heart just got
I know.
It's really great.
And can we just underscore the psychological safety, because sometimes that point is missed, and without it, you can't innovate, you can't brainstorm, you can't debate, and I think it's a huge skill set to have. What were you going to say?
Well, I like what you said about leadership and the soft skills piece, and I definitely think the face of leadership changes over time, and I've also read a ton of articles about more empathetic, more transformational leadership, so I definitely see that trend, and I'm happy for it. I think it's definitely the right direction we should be moving, because to your point, it does have really great ROI. When I reflect on my own skills and how I show up, I feel like it's a combination of both of yours. I work with purpose. Like I think there's a lot of gravitas to just life and my short time on this planet, so I care a lot about where I spend my time. And I spend my 9 to 5 and after hours caring about work, so I show up with purpose. I think that can come across with a lot of intensity, I like to say. The word I hear the most is passion. But I also think that's a highly feminized word, and so I kind of have an aversion to it a little bit. But I also think I bring a balance of fun. So that joy part got me, because I think bringing levity and like having a little bit of fun together makes it all worthwhile.
I want to work with all of you. Last question. Not to say that you don't want to be at Ulta or your existing employer forever, but in a dream world, where do you end up, and what are some of the tools you'll use to get there?
I have a very ambitious but clear goal. I would like to be the CMO of Patagonia. And some of the tools that I'll use to get there are summits like this, conferences, reading. I plan to pursue my MBA in addition to my existing master's, and just learning from my peers and mentors.
Wow. Yeah, you've got a plan. What about you?
I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own business. whether it be like that general store in a small town, I don't know yet. But that is my dream. I think anytime I wanted to do anything, you have to have relationships and maintain them. And, you know, those relationships like enrich your life. And I think that's always been, you know, helpful to me in any time to succeed.
I love being part of the Ulta Beauty family. I really am not looking to go anywhere, and I think that was part of the point. I was with an agency for so long, and I felt like that loyalty wasn't getting me anywhere. I still felt like I was highly replaceable. I could look left and right and see 20 other people that were doing a very similar job to me. At Ulta Beauty, I'm the only manager of digital marketing. I'm the only one. So I feel less replaceable there, and I feel like the company knows that and puts more value and more stake in me. And you saw it earlier with Muffy, like, we have people that have been with Ulta Beauty for years and years and years and years because it's a company that supports growth and
valued and seen and all of the other things.
100%.
Cool.
So in my plan, I intend to climb a couple more rungs of the corporate ladder. It is just a personal ambition to see myself elevate into a higher position of power, and mainly that's just because I think I'm a really good leader and people person, so I want to be able to disseminate that and share that, leading bigger teams. So that is goal 1. Goal 2, I also want to be an entrepreneur, a boutique agency. I don't want to be some grand CEO or CMO anywhere. I want to own something small and very nurtured and loved that I could build myself. So I'm still kind of ruminating on what that would be, but it's definitely going to be a marketing focus, branding focus.
Amazing. Well, cheers to all 4 of you, and thank you. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Do we have time? Yeah. Wonderful.
Hi. I would just like to know how you keep up with the latest trends, especially in digital marketing. You know, there's always something new to learn about, and as you mentioned, we're not the experts in everything that is new. But how do you keep up with new trends? How do you keep yourself up to speed with what's going on in digital marketing?
I would say, I mean, in social, obviously it changes like every single day. It can be very hard to stay up on the trends. I would say just building a team that everyone is kind of has that as part of their focus, and you rely on each other so that you don't put all the pressure on yourself to have every answer.
I'd say creative is all about trends, and it's also all about the tools you use. Like, there's a startup every other minute, and you have to be, you know, up on all of that to kind of succeed and move forward.
Yep, on my side, it's talking to people, talking to your peers, talking to other departments, understanding what they're seeing. I was also on a call yesterday with the people at Insider Intelligence with eMarketer. I love their charts. I love a good visual, so also having some reputable trades or partnerships that you can really go to for kind of quick hit information.
Yeah, I think the trades are a great place to start. A couple of unique takes on finding trends that I take. I like to look tangentially to other industries. So I'm in QSR retail. I think that there's probably interesting things I could learn from automotive or beauty. Like, there are just a lot of peripheral things where you could take a tactic or a technique to a very similar problem and then apply it to your world. So I try to look at really removed things from my category. And then another is I like to go to the source. So like where culture happens, where things are happening is always going to be that younger generation. So I actually seek out opportunities to meet with young people. I don't consider myself young, even though I might look it. You can tell me later. But yeah, I try to meet with the Gen Z, and I frequent my alma mater a lot. I'm going there tomorrow. I'm going to spend time lecturing, 50 people back to back, and just I want to know about them because they're going to tell me what's cool. They'll behave in a way. They'll engage or disengage, and I like to observe in that way and then pick up a trend.
I have a question. So fun fact, in early days of Circus Street, we shared an office with eMarketer in New York. So, yeah, if you need any connections, let me know.
Yeah.
So you said, Sam, something about change management in terms of, getting people on board with a new idea or a new concept. We do that every day in our world. How do you guys go about change management in your teams? I know you do different things, but how do you go about doing that? How do you go about inspiring people to actually take into consideration that change and embrace it?
Yeah, I think it's all about listening to them and making sure their voice is heard and that they're a part of the change. Building an in-house team to a company, that didn't have a creative department at all. And, you're changing the culture and changing people's minds. But what helped me is I made everybody on my team a part of that. And so they already felt inclusive. So I'd say always listening to them and making them feel part of it.
I guess the question was for everyone, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just for anybody who cares to answer. I work at United Airlines. Personalization is weaved into a lot of what we do. And interested in your all's perspective on maybe an example or use case of personalization that surprised you for how effective it was, or what it happened to bring about for your business.
I've got an example related to your industry. Didn't Delta just do an optimization with their flighting technology? And it was like the most basic and obvious thing that essentially when people would order a ticket and it recognized that you had a lap child or you were traveling in a big group, it would book out a singular row of chairs. How convenient. But they tapped into data stream to come up with that and just make the boarding process a lot smoother and happier for guests, so you don't have to change up in the middle of the aisle. So something so simple, using data to personalize an experience.
Hi, I'm with Ulta Beauty. I'm the social media supervisor for guest services, and customer experience is super important to us, right? So I'm wondering, how do you guys partner with, or do you partner with your guest services teams to maybe innovate in any way with your teams?
I can speak to this one. So our team, we actually have a couple people on our social team that historically came from our customer service department. So they bring a lot of that knowledge and expertise with them, and they're great partners for that team as well. We meet with them on a regular basis and just keep open lines of communication about any campaigns that are running, any new developments that are being had. And as part of your fix the fundamentals, customer service is part of that. One of the things we did during the pandemic was to get rid of our customer service phone number. And we continue to see, especially on social, people complain about that. They want to be able to talk to a real person as opposed to the chat option on the website. So we continue to gather data like that and provide it to leadership just so that that's taken into consideration when we're making those changes.
Thank you all very much.